If you've seen the film To the Bone, then you've met Ellen, a young woman who's really in the grips of anorexia. Her story, though, it's more than just a drama. It's actually a perfect window into what's really happening inside the mind and, more importantly, the brain of someone with this disorder. So let's use her story to really break down the science behind her struggle. Okay, so right off the bat, I want to hit you with the single biggest takeaway from all this. When you analyze a case like Ellen's through a scientific lens, you come to one really powerful conclusion. Anorexia, at its core, is a disorder where the brain systems for emotion, reward, and self-worth, they get all scrambled up. Now let's dig into what that actually means. All right, Section 1, Diagnosing Ellen, the view from the outside. First up, let's look at Ellen the way a psychiatrist would, from the outside in. We'll start with the clinical, observable signs that lead to a diagnosis.
So what are we actually talking about here? Well, the official diagnosis is anorexia nervosa, and it's basically defined by this trio of core symptoms: a really powerful fear of gaining weight, a distorted perception of your own body, and of course, severe food restriction.
And if you look at Ellen's character in the film, wow, she ticks every single one of these boxes, right? You see that intense fear of gaining weight, the extreme measures she takes to restrict food, and that obsessive calorie counting that just takes over her life. But here's the real kicker. She has a distorted body image, genuinely unable to see how thin she truly is, and that is a hallmark of the disorder. Okay, so that's the what. But to really get it, we have to ask why. So now, let's peel back another layer and explore the psychological drivers that are fueling all these behaviors. You know, for so many people, anorexia isn't really about food at all. It's about control. I mean, think about it. When your life feels totally chaotic and out of your hands, meticulously controlling every single calorie you consume, that can give you this powerful, even if it's false, sense of being in charge. In that headspace, starving yourself, well, it feels like a win. And starvation serves another purpose too. It numbs you. It's a way to dial down that tension, to push away all those difficult feelings like anxiety or anger or sadness. It's like you're creating this wall between you and your own overwhelming inner world. And as you can see here, none of these things exist in a vacuum. It's this complex web, right? That need for control, it's often fueled by really low self-esteem. That emotional avoidance, it can be a direct response to stress at home or with friends. Each thread just pulls the others tighter, which makes this disorder incredibly tough to unravel. All right, now we're going to go even deeper. We've gone from what you can see on the outside to what's happening in the mind. Now, let's look at the physical brain itself. What is actually going wrong with the wiring? This table really breaks down the core neurobiology in a super clear way. First, check out the reward system. For someone like Ellen, food just stops being rewarding. Instead, her brain literally rewires itself to reward starvation and compulsive exercise. Wild, right? Then you've got her prefrontal cortex. That's the brain's CEO. It's in total overdrive, which is what drives that obsessive, rigid thinking. And finally, the limbic system, the emotional center. It's also altered, which cranks up the anxiety and emotional sensitivity. These big changes in the brain's structure, they're driven by something even more fundamental. It's chemistry. The neurochemicals sloshing around in an anorexic brain create this powerful, kind of paradoxical cycle that starts to look and feel a whole lot like an addiction. This right here, this is what's known as the serotonin paradox. So a lot of people who are predisposed to anorexia already have these underlying serotonin imbalances that can make them anxious or obsessive. But here's the crazy part. Starving yourself actually gives you temporary relief from that tension. The brain learns, hey, restriction equals relief. And boom, you have a powerful reason to do it again and again. And then you have dopamine. That's our reward and motivation chemical. In anorexia, this system gets completely hijacked. Look at this cycle. The person restricts food. That triggers the dopamine system to signal a reward. That rewarding feeling reinforces the behavior. And pretty soon, the act of starving itself becomes deeply chemically addictive. Okay, so let's put this all together. We've gone from the symptoms you can see, through the psychology of control, and all the way down into the brain's wiring and chemistry. Now let's tie it all together and go back to that statement we started with.
See? This isn't just a catchy phrase anymore, is it? It's the clinical reality. That intense fear, the warped body image, that obsessive need for control. These are all just symptoms of a brain whose reward, control, and emotional systems have gone haywire.
And why is this so important to understand? because it completely reframes the whole conversation. It shifts us away from this dangerous and wrong idea that anorexia is a choice or just a lack of willpower. It is a neurobiological condition. And that perspective really highlights exactly why recovery is so incredibly hard. You're not just changing habits, you're literally trying to rewire the brain's most basic circuits.
So all of this leaves us with one final and I think really crucial question. If we truly accept that anorexia is a brain disorder, not a lifestyle choice, well, how must that change our approach? How should it affect treatment, our empathy, and the very way we talk about this devastating illness? That's something that's truly critical for all of us to think about.